Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of the World of Gaming and Dutch. I'm excited to be back. We missed last week's show for different reasons. Mainly there were barely any news last week, but that is different this week. And we have actually quite a lot to talk about, so I'm super excited to be back. And of course, I want to welcome everyone who's already joining us live here in the chat. Shout out to you guys. Of course, a big shout out to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. A big welcome to this week's World of Gaming and Dutch. Also, a big welcome to and hello to you. How are you doing today, man?
Yes, I'm good. Much like you, tired from work. Games are kind of tough to grab at the moment in terms of what's really sticking. But I've been playing some games. I want to talk about a couple of games that I have played. But other than that, no, I'm just tired from work and I'm looking forward to a little bit of a break.
Yeah. That break is going to start really soon for me. Tomorrow is my last day at work and then I have 3 weeks off, which is awesome. Very awesome, and I can't wait. And next week, Dutch, it's Gamescom time. Unfortunately, we won't be there, but we're still going to watch the opening night live. We're gonna watch the live streams, and we'll have plenty to discuss about Gamescom next week. And of course, we're going to do a little preview today, but we also have tons of other stuff to talk about. Finally, some actual gaming news, and of course we're going to talk about Tango being acquired by Krafton. We will talk about the latest rumors about Xbox games coming to PlayStation. We will talk about the big Stalker 2 deep dive, of course. We have so many other gaming news. A new Darksiders was announced. We have infos on Witcher 4 and the Max Payne remake. We will talk about the Switch 2 and the latest infos on that and so much more. But first, Dutch, of course, we gotta talk about the games of the week. All right, Dutch. So, what have you been playing lately, man? And of course, everyone in the chat, let us know what you guys been up to and what you have been playing. So, Dutch, what kept you busy?
Yeah, I mean, quick shout out as well to Fanto before I get into this for his 29-month member recruit, mix-up recruit membership. So,
sweet.
Thank you for that, sir, for the ongoing support and welcoming everybody in the chat. I have finished. Eventually, I was catching up on a few games that were in the backlog that I kind of put in the back burner, and eventually finished Days Gone, and then went to the platinum Days Gone as well whilst I was at it.
Sweet.
I've pretty much mopped up the entire map. I think I've got something like 3 hordes left to do, but there is no trophies for that. So I might just do that in spare time if I'm bored. They take like 5 minutes a horde, so it's not like it's anything fantastic. But no, really enjoyed the game. And then when I finished that, I was still in the mood to play another story game, and I tried a few other things. Shout out again to Fanto, who sent me across a physical copy of. He got 2 copies when it was on sale. He got a copy of Forspoken, but they'd sent him 2 for some reason instead of 1. So he sent me a copy of Forspoken, and I give it a try. And I've got to say,
how is it?
I don't know what Fanto thinks of it. It's the slowest intro to a game I've played for a while. I don't find the story overall that interesting. I give it a few hours so far. I've uninstalled it for the time being because it just wasn't doing anything for us. It just wasn't. the story wasn't that great. The combat was okay, very simplistic. And coming off the back of Days Gone, it felt like a big step down.
Yeah, I thought so, man. I thought so.
Yeah, which is a shame because I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it right. I've just finished Days Gone. I need a new story game. Let's try Forspoken, and it just wasn't. It wasn't a great experience at that time, and I think it was the story as well. The story just wasn't captivating. Yeah, I might try it again another day, but I've just deleted it for now. I've reinstalled. Well, I'm basically playing through the end of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as well because of course that got put on the back burner for a bit when I was streaming it. So I can play it through without streaming it for the minute. I've saved the game twice, so I've got 2 slots. I've kept a save game where I can stream that section onwards again in the future when I feel like streaming Final Fantasy again to finish that off for the channel. But I've got another save slot where I can just continue it in my own time. So
sweet.
That's what I've been doing.
How far along are you? Which chapter are you?
Halfway through chapter 11, so I've got like 3.5 chapters left, and then it's done.
Sweet.
But I'm making, because it's in my own time now, I'm making a point of kind of mopping up all the side quests and things in each area whilst I'm going through it and just taking my time and enjoying the game. So,
okay.
So yeah, I'm doing that. I'm in the horrible part now on chapter 11. You'll remember it where you're Cat Scythe and you've got to do the puzzles and shit.
Yeah, that was the most boring chapter. It gets a lot better after that.
Yeah. Well, I got onto it the other night and it was like 11 o'clock at night and I'd just finished like 2 of the puzzles and then more puzzles were popping up and I was like, nope. Nope.
Yeah,
if
I feel you.
Action, I might have continued for another half an hour. I was like, nah, I'm not puzzling, solving for another, like, whilst when I'm tired. Nope. So I just saved it, turned it off.
Yeah.
I'll come back to that, finish Shinra Mansion and then continue.
Sweet.
But another thing that I've reinstalled on Xbox that I'm planning to play through, and people are going to shout at me for this, for having not done it already, but again, it's because it's a mammoth game.
Yeah,
it's
I know what you're going to say.
It's such a huge game. It's Red Dead Redemption 2.
And people shout at you for good reason for not having played it yet.
Yeah, I know. I played like 3 hours of it at launch when it originally came out, and I haven't been back to it, so I've completely deleted the save that I've got because it's been that long. And I'm going to play through Red Dead on Xbox because I needed a story game on Xbox to play. And Xbox don't have really any story games at the moment. Like, of course, we played Hellblade. That's great. We were going to have Avowed, but that's not coming this year now. It's coming next year. And, of course, yes, we have Indie coming up, but that's kind of like a short stint, not so much. More of a silly action game,
and it's gonna be a while till it's out. Yeah, so if you're in the mood for a story game right now, of course. And Red Dead is a great game. I mean, I still think Red Dead 1 was better overall, grabbed me more, but still Red Dead 2 is a fantastic and phenomenal game. So you'll love it once you get into it. You will really enjoy it. I'm sure of it. Good stuff, bro.
I'm in the mood for it as well at the minute, though. So. I'm in the mood for a good story and playing some single player games. So so I've got it installed, ready to rock and roll, and I can't wait to start it.
Good.
So I've got 2 good story games on the go: Final Fantasy and Red Dead.
So
that's me now, Steph.
Sweet, good stuff.
How about you?
Let me shout out the community first before I'll talk about the stuff I've been playing. Drawn TJ sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. And he says, I've been playing the Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown beta when it doesn't crash and Elden Ring. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, man, we're doing well. I hope you too, bro. And let us know what you think about the Test Drive beta. Because I've only seen people complain about the many crashes it apparently has. And would like to know how it actually is once it's running. Yeah, so what else do we have? Dustin Lambert is still playing Ayuden Chronicles to mop up the rest of the achievements. A great game, fantastic game actually. I really enjoyed that. Sith Lord has been playing Diablo 4. I've been playing that myself. Season 5, man. Season 5. I'll get to that in a second. The General C has, of course, been playing Hunt Showdown. Yeah. You didn't expect anything else? Yeah. Good stuff. So yeah, what have I been playing, man? I've been jumping around a little bit in between different games. I gave Flintlock another chance, but yeah, I'm just not digging it. And it's not the difficulty. It's just, I don't know. For a game that puts up a challenge, you know, the controls just feel too imprecise. I don't know how to describe it better, but it kind of feels too clunky. And I'm just not digging it. But I started one game, man, that I'm really enjoying, and that is Dungeons of Hinterberg. It's a great game. I actually really enjoy it. It is like, you know, you have played it a little, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So it's this mixture of, you know, a dungeon crawler meets, I don't know, some people have been comparing it to Zelda. I'm not sure if I would do that, but it kind of, it just is a great game. You have these different dungeons, you have to solve riddles, you have to battle some enemies, you have to buy new loot and find new loot, and I'm really enjoying that now. I think I would say I'm halfway through. I don't know if you have to do all dungeons, but I have done about half of them now. So yeah, man.
I think I'm probably about halfway through as well. Even when I left it, I think I was about halfway. Maybe it's a little bit further. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because you see after you finish one of these dungeons, you see the list of dungeons that are left in the game. And I have no idea if you have to do them all in order to finish it, or if the story is over before you've done all of them. So I'm not really sure how far along I am, but who cares? There's
obviously there's a secret dungeon as well, and then there's like boss dungeons that are mentioned when I've had a look at the achievements. There's like boss dungeons and things, so I don't know whether or not that's part of this just the story, and it's not actually like a dungeon that you like go to on the map. It's just part of the story that you go to. So I don't know. I don't know how far in the story I am.
Yeah. Me neither. But who cares? It's a fun game that I'm really digging. And if I have a little time in between, you know, and just to bridge a 30-minute gap or so, I've started Season 5 of Diablo 4, which is just great. They added this Horde mode, which is a lot of fun. Or kind of a Horde mode, or I don't know how you would describe it otherwise, but it is great. Great again. And yeah, man, that's basically it. That's what I've been playing. So let me shout out Dave Ramos real quick, who sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. And he says, loving the new background. Now I just want to see Dutch's face on God of War's body. Boxy, your face on Geralt's body. Happy Thursday. Hashtag Dold. Oh, yeah. All right. We need to work on
as
that.
Well. When I scroll back up here, we've got, of course, the General C playing Hunt Showdown. Asking why we're not playing Hunt Showdown. We've got Phantos playing Baldur's Gate 3 again right now. So he's back into Baldur's Gate for the second. And we've also got, if I go down the list when it wants to populate, We had Darren has just finished The Expanse, and he's playing through he's playing through the Borderlands games chronologically. With his daughter.
Oh, nice. Love me some Borderlands. We actually have a little Borderlands news ourselves to talk about a little later.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about that apparently awful movie. Ash2X, by the way, says you have to finish everything. The secret dungeon is part of the story. Okay. Good stuff. Dave Ramos has been playing Still Wakes the Deep. Yeah, I still have yet to play that as well.
That's a good story. It's a horror game, but it's a good story. You'd really enjoy that.
Sweet. Yeah.
That's short. That's short as well. That's like 6 hours.
That's good. Man, maybe I install that on my Ellie and play it when I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
Because, what I've been thinking about, we're driving to Italy on August 26th. And 3 days later, Star Wars Outlaws comes out. And now I don't want to buy the game, because if I buy it on Xbox, I can't play it on my Ellie. And if I buy it on PC, I won't be able to play it on Xbox. So I've decided to actually check out Ubisoft Premium Plus, or whatever it's called.
The
high-end tier. Because with that, you get apparently cross-save.
Yeah.
Now I only have to hope that I will be able to, pre-install it via Ubisoft on the Ellie, because if I'm camping through mobile reception, I won't be able to install it. So, yeah. But that's the plan. That's the plan, man. All right. I'm going to close the poll, by the way, in the chat. The community has voted for some Dungeons of Hinterberg gameplay during today's show, which is awesome. So let me put that on, and then Dutch, let's move into some actual news. All right.
Jingle, jingle.
Jingle, jingle. Dutch, let me start today's show with the latest rumor that kept the social media channels busy in discussing Xbox and everything. And so Shinobi, well-known insider, has put out this rumor that apparently next week during Gamescom, a bigger game is going to come over to PlayStation, and Xbox therefore continuing basically their strategy to bring more of their first-party content over to PlayStation, and speculations have run wild. It was really quick that I can't even tell honestly who started that rumor, that Forza Horizon 5 is apparently that game. But then other insiders like Jez Corden and others came out debunking that, saying, well, it's not going to be Forza Horizon 5. If anything, it's going to be something else. And so speculations are running wild. What could it be, Dutch? And what do you make of this rumor? You still there, bro? Okay, Dutch.
Yeah, I'm still here. For some reason, and I've got no idea why, but StreamYard's acting up on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, you're still here. So
StreamYard's acting up on my end. I don't know what's going on. Yes, in terms of what I think it could be, it'd be hilarious if it was Redfall.
Yeah,
but I think it could be maybe Flight Sim. I think I've been reading a few things about Flight Sim as well over recent weeks, with the potential port coming to PlayStation. And I would see Flight Sim is a bigger thing for Microsoft. Again, it's not an Xbox related game. It's a Microsoft game. It's likely to be potentially Flight Sim, I think, on this occasion. And it would also make sense. It's a big live service game. It's got a huge open market store where you can download mods and things like that, and it's massively monetizable for both the people on the stores and for Microsoft.
Yeah.
But it's also a technical game that really shows off the power of consoles as well as PC. And I think a lot of people on PlayStation might be surprised that haven't played a flight simulator of that detail and don't have an Xbox and don't have a PC capable of playing Flight Sim. They might be pleasantly surprised at just how unbelievable that game is in terms of its visual prowess and its technical prowess. I think it could be Flight Sim potentially.
Yeah. I could see that, man. I could see that. I've seen a lot of speculation. Could it be Halo, the Master Chief Collection, you know? Could it be one of the Gears games? I don't know, honestly, if they are going to do an announcement of more games coming over next week during Gamescom. I mean, you could see that happening just for the sheer reason that PlayStation is so prominent around here in Europe. But then on the other hand, why would you kind of put yourself in that position again? Xbox gonna have some great headlines next week. And you will destroy a lot of the potential hype by simply announcing this or that game is coming to PlayStation again. And so I'm not sure if they're gonna do that. I'm actually with Dave Ramos in the chat. If they decide to do something for next week, it's probably going to be Hellblade 2. Because from all we know so far, at least, it didn't really fulfill expectations in terms of player numbers or sales numbers. So I could see that happening, yeah. Pyro says in the chat State of Decay 2, which I could also see happening. It kind of worked for them with Sea of Thieves, which was the probably most successful game of the ports, and kind of makes sense, for an ongoing game, a live service game, and you could argue that State of Decay is that kind of game. So, yeah, I'm really not sure if they are going to start the next wave of games coming to PlayStation next week. Eventually they will, no doubt about that. But I'm kind of, thinking, similar with the June showcase. Yeah, there was this Doom thing, and that Doom is going to come day one to that, but that was already kind of known. But other than that, they didn't talk about bringing games over and just enjoyed their couple of days of fame, and I think they're going to do the same next week. So I'm really not sure if that's actually going to happen. Yeah. And yeah, so I've seen you turned off your camera, probably for the best if we're having like connection issues on your end.
I don't know what's going on with it today. Yeah, it's been a pain in the arse.
Oh, okay. But I think we can work with that. Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, so let's see what if this rumor is going to turn out to be true. I don't think it's Forza. Too many people already basically with inside knowledge confirmed that it's not Forza. And I still don't see them bringing over games like Halo or something. Those stable house IPs, I don't see them do that. So right now, at least. So yeah, Dutch. Let us move on. I want to talk to you about a couple of delays. Yeah, since we didn't have a show last week, it's now official that Avowed has been delayed until early 2025. Just today, Kingdom Come Deliverance has been delayed till next year, which is now officially coming out in February next year. Yeah. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, of course. Yeah. And Gothic, the remake, which I'm actually really looking forward to, is now also being slated to come out till April 1st of 2025. So, Dutch, what do you make of these delays? Anything that surprises you? Kind of sad that some of these games move to next year. What are your thoughts, man?
No, you know what it is? I'm not that sad. There's just so much still left to come out this year. And there's so much that we still have to catch up on. That I think it's a lot of games are also looking at the schedule and thinking we could probably afford to take a little bit more time, because otherwise we'll be swallowed up by everything else that's coming out the rest of this year. Obviously, they've still got Star Wars, there's still Indiana Jones, there's still got Starfield, Shattered Space, you've still got Call of Duty. Like, there's so much still coming out, like, the remainder of the year. That
Vessel of Hatred.
There's a few things where where people will be looking and they'll be like, yeah, well, we can take a few months and push it to early 25, and we'll give ourselves a little bit of a breather. A really good start to early next year. We've got Avowed. I think it was February for Avowed. And then, of course, usually it's pretty quiet at the beginning of the year going into like the summer period. So instead of having a quiet start to the year, now we'll end up having a relatively busy start to the year, and get a lot of awesome games before we get into the summer. So yeah, I'm not too fussed, to be honest. I think it probably worked out for the best for gamers, really, as much as we want to play them now. If we're kind of thinking
especially
about things,
Gothic,
there's a lot of games. Yeah, there's still a lot of things we need to finish up, or need to play, or need to get on top of, that we still haven't. And I'm looking forward to being able to just relax and not kind of think, oh god, this game's out now, and this game's out now, and this game's out now, and this game's out now. And thinking which ones I need to play that are kind of everybody's going to be playing at the same time. And even Space Marine, that's coming out at the beginning of September.
Hey,
so
and
many games.
Dragon Age just got today release date of October 31st. So huge game. I mean, it's at least like a 60, 70, 80 hour game at least. And like you said, so many other games come out. So I'm really not surprised that Avowed got delayed. Well, I actually am. I thought it's gonna be Indie that is going to move to next year, but we knew that one of these games is probably gonna get pushed out, because especially for Xbox content, the fall season now is way too crowded. With Age of Mythology coming, and Indiana Jones, Call of Duty, Vessel of Hatred, Shattered Space, sorry, and so on. It's just too damn crowded. And I've seen people on the internet say, well, it's now all just DLC, like Shattered Space and Vessel of Hatred, and console players really don't care about age and so on. But still, you got so much to play. So Stalker 2 is obviously coming as well. So in terms of that, I'm fine. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I'm still not really sold, because the first game, I'm still very torn on how to feel about it. I really, really dig like the story and the vibes they were going for, like, this realistic medieval setting, nothing, no monsters or high fantasy stuff in there, obviously, and just trying to depict the everyday life of medieval villagers and knights and so on. That was fantastic. But then the combat system itself was, they also went to or tried to do that as realistic as possible, but wasn't fun. So I'm still a little torn on Kingdom Come Deliverance, and that's why I really don't mind that game moving to next year. The one I've been really looking forward to is the Gothic remake ever since it's been announced, and after its phenomenal deep dive trailer 2 weeks ago, I was super hyped. So yeah, but hey, at the end we still have plenty to play this year, and obviously some of those games, and it's probably not going to be the last games that are going to get delayed. There will still be one or two.
Replaced the indie game. Replaced was delayed.
Delayed as well. True.
However, on the good notice, Plucky Squire's got its release date.
Yeah, I've seen that, man, and it's not too far off, right?
Yeah, super close.
Yeah, September. It's
middle of September.
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy as well. Day
I've
one
been
Game
really
Pass
looking
game,
forward
right?
to that one.
Yeah. Looks great. Looks really good. So, yeah, man. Still plenty to play, so I really don't mind these delays. Little sad about Gothic, but hey, again, plenty to play. So, Dutch, let us talk about some of the big headlines this week. And that was actually really something that surprised me, and that is that Xbox is now selling Tango to Krafton, the PUBG guys, and they didn't sell all IP along with it, but they sold Hi-Fi Rush along with it. So they still kept The Evil Within and so on, but in as an Xbox IP, but Hi-Fi moves over along with Tango, and I was really surprised, and I still haven't figured it out, so maybe someone in the chat knows a little better. I thought it was already closed, because like a month ago or so, they were like posting these, okay, last day, we are now shutting everything down, and so on, and now 1 month later, they are sold to Krafton. I thought the studio isn't existing anymore already. So, Dutch, let me know your thoughts before I give my spiel on this. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad the studio's going to be saved.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit more information that we got on the back of it was half of the staff have already moved on from Tango. So instead of having 100 devs now, they've only got 50. So there's only actually 50 left at Tango, but those guys are staying there. From what we know, they're working on potentially working on Hi-Fi Rush 2, but it's in partnership with Microsoft initially. To whilst the transition happens and whilst it all goes through, so I would suspect everybody will get Hi-Fi Rush 2 on every platform. And potentially even Hi-Fi Rush and Game Pass, and then Tango will go on to do whatever they want to do. But it'll be, I think, it's just good to see that the studio survives and it isn't getting shut down completely. I'm glad to see Microsoft they obviously were approached probably near the end, and Krafton said, well, how much would it take to take the studio as opposed to the studio closing down permanently? Microsoft probably just went, well, what are you thinking? And then had that at the very end and ended up saving jobs. So it's a good resolution in the end. I'm glad to see it happen. I hope more of that happens in future. Instead of studios closing down, they go through a consultation period where they find possible suitors elsewhere instead of just shutting the studios down. I think Microsoft have been known to just get rid of studios, but also Sony as of late have been known to just shut studios down instead of finding possible suitors. And I think going forward, I think the industry needs to do better to say, listen, we're no longer going to be like keeping this studio on and looking to find potential buyers for those studios if needs be before thinking about closing doors entirely.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's a best case scenario. If they can't have this particular, and it's not like these studios couldn't operate solely or by themselves, because we've sort of seen Toys for Bob go out and do their own thing. And the first thing that they're working on is something with Microsoft as an Xbox game.
Yeah.
But they are capable of going off and doing their own thing. And this is what these studios are very much capable of doing by themselves. They still have staff. They still are a singular studio. They still have their own trade names and trade licenses and things. So they can stand on their own 2 feet. So I think there's a possibility for them to go out and find new suitors or new publishers or someone to take them on board. And I think going forward, I hope that is the case. That a lot of these studios find homes elsewhere instead of just being shuttered entirely.
I agree. I mean, I'm glad that the studio at least is somehow saved. Again, I'm still not really sure how much of the OG staff is actually still with them after already being shut down for at least a month or so. Yeah. However, Dustin in the chat brings up a fantastic point. He says Tencent technically owns Tango now, and since they are the majority owners of Krafton, don't expect single player games. Well, that's a possibility that whatever they intend to do with the Hi-Fi Rush IP, which is basically the only IP they took with them, right? Dishonored and Evil Within and so on, still is with Xbox, the IP, yeah, and so I wonder what they intend to do with Hi-Fi Rush, but yeah, Krafton is really, and with their majority owner being Tencent, really isn't known for like single player driven games like Hi-Fi Rush was, right? So yeah, we shall see, man. But like you said, it's great news for the remaining staff, and you make a fantastic point. Instead of shutting down studios, which all big publishers have been doing lately, right? And not just the platform holders like Sony and Xbox. It goes for basically all the bigger publishers. Look at Embracer, what they've done, and many others. Instead of just shutting studios down, just find them a new home, right?
Yeah.
Or what Xbox has been doing with blanking on the name. The guys that made Spyro and Crash.
Toys for Bob.
Let them stand on their own and help them to be an independent studio rather than just shutting them down, right?
Work on them on a new project, but just okay, we're not providing the funding. We'll give you like kind of a head start on an IP, and you can work on that IP, and that IP can go wherever you want. We'll give you the kind of the Kickstarter, but from that point onwards, then you're on your own.
Yeah.
Give them the opportunity to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And for people wondering how you can sell a closed down studio, that goes before you close something down permanently, it's called winding up. So you actually wind up the studio, you start to do things in a slow process. And yes, it closed a month ago, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's completely ceased to exist a month after.
Yeah.
You can have a liquidated company or essentially begin liquidating a company 6 months prior, and all those staff say, it's closed, like we're no longer operating. However, it does take a long time for it to actually come to the point where it's liquidated. And during that entire course, you can sell the business.
True.
If you find a suitable buyer, they can take it over. And that's essentially what's happened. Okay. It's just before we've wound down this particular studio entirely, we've managed to find somebody who's taking it on. So
yeah. Agree, man. So
in this case, it's half the staff remain. So half of them have already gone and found new jobs, and half of them are still at the studio. So
yeah, I mean that's the thing about this. We really don't know how much of Tango is still actually the Tango we know and love, right? And especially what Krafton intends to do with them and their next game, which is, we all assume it's going to be some sort of sequel to Hi-Fi Rush, right? But still, like you said, fantastic way to deal with the studio rather than shutting it down. So let's hope that some of the other publishers will take notice and see that as a chance, right?
Yep.
All right, Dutch. Let us move on to something else. The Switch 2. We got some news. We were still waiting for the announcement, though, right? No official talk about it, and it looks like we are going to have to wait a little longer. It looks like developers have been informed that the Switch 2 is not going to launch before at least April 2025.
That's okay.
Yeah. But it is still planned to launch in Nintendo's next financial year, next fiscal year, which then goes from April 25 till including March 2026. So somewhere in that period, apparently the Switch 2 comes out. So my question to you, Dutch, is, do you think we're gonna see it this year at all?
No, I don't think we'll see it this year. I think it'll be a holiday. It'll be kind of just before the holidays, 25, when it releases then. With it being in a financial year and their financial year finishing March 26, I can't see them releasing it anywhere between January and March. Doesn't make any sense for them, especially missing out on the Christmas period where a lot of kids want to buy the next Switch or the next Nintendo. So I can see it maybe launching in October or November or something like that.
See, I think it's gonna be sooner.
Maybe it's like August, September,
and maybe even earlier than that, May, June, something like that. Because hear me out. What happens every time a console comes out? It's the hardcore fans are gonna buy all available stock out. So it wouldn't benefit you to launch it in October or November, because then for the Christmas period, the more casual, more regular consumers won't be able to buy one, because that's the first 2 months, first 3-4 months of a console. It's gonna be for the die-hard fans, and then the consoles usually come back at stock, and you can buy them regularly. And so I think they're gonna do something similar like they did with the first Switch, where it came out in May. Usually, like Sony and Microsoft, they both launch their consoles. Every console always comes out in November, every single time. Doesn't matter whether you look at the series consoles, the One X, the One S, the Xbox One, and so on. It was always a November launch. PS3, PS4, PS5 Pro, every single time a November launch. And what ends up happening is the hardcore fans buy all consoles out, and it really doesn't matter if you have the holiday and Christmas period coming up, because the console cannot be bought anywhere anyway. So, and the Switch did it actually quite well, being a portable console coming out in May. You give the hardcore fans a chance to buy their first initial stock of consoles. They can take it away in their summer holidays, and then when it comes to the fall season, you're back in regular stock, and people just can buy the console. And I think they're probably going to do something similar there with the Switch 2. But I'm with you. I don't think we will see it this year, actually. I think it's going to be a very short announcement period, from revealing the console till it actually comes out. It'll only be a few weeks or 1, 2, 3 months, something like that. So I doubt that we will see it this year.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Which brings up the question again, of course, when are we going to see the PS5 Pro? Which is still supposed to come out this year, right?
It is. The thing with the PS5 Pro as well, though, is that an app, it still doesn't make any sense to me. It still doesn't make any sense because they've got nothing to launch it with.
Yeah.
And surely PlayStation are looking at it, and you can't go into it and say, "Oh, I'm going to launch it with Concord." You can't launch it with Concord.
Yeah, that's not even close to being a system seller. That game is basically dead on arrival, right?
Yeah, it's not something you would do. And from that aspect, then they kind of do take a little bit more time. Did they take a little bit more time with the console in order to get a game ready for it? Yeah. And then instead of launching 25, launch it in 26 and have it launch with Wolverine.
Yeah.
Which would make more sense.
Yeah, but I think that's too long, right? If the console was supposed to come out this year, you can maybe, since Xbox doesn't have anything in terms of like mid-gen upgrades, you can do a 25 launch, but would you actually move it to 26 when your competitor is probably going to start the next gen already?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. There's also, like, you have to see that there are plenty of contracts in place. Yeah, AMD is gonna have something in their contracts that they have to take this and that much chips. It's like you can move it around a little bit, probably, you know, a couple of months from November this year to, I don't know, April next year or something, like 3, 4, 5 months plus minus, but you won't be able to move it years out. Yeah, so yeah, it's still a mystery, man, how quiet Sony is actually being about everything that they are doing.
Yeah, it's I don't know what's happened. Like Sony, I just don't think they internally, I don't think they know really what's going on. I don't think. I think the organization's really in a bit of a mess internally.
I fully agree. It feels like, you know, under Sean Layden, they had a clear vision. Yeah, we want to be that console platform that is providing you with tons of AAA blockbuster games, story-driven games that you can experience, that provide you great story, great world, great gameplay. And that was the time period when God of War 2018 came out, and, you know, Spider-Man and Days Gone and Ghost of Tsushima and the first Horizon, and, you know, and they had a clear vision. We are this console that provides you like the biggest blockbuster experiences out there with games like Last of Us 2, and there was just, okay, that is what they want to be. And then they moved away with their, you know, games as a service, and we're going to release, I don't know what they said, 12, 16 games as a service titles within the next 3 years, and they kind of lost the focus. And then they decided to go AWOL from all, like, gaming events. They stopped doing E3, they stopped doing Gamescom, they stopped doing everything, you know. Summer showcases at all, yeah. 2022, they didn't have a showcase at all. Then they had a super bad one last year, and this year so far, quiet as, yeah. And nobody knows anymore what's their strategy, what's their big vision, what are they going for, you know. And that's kind of weird to see. And that the PS5 Pro is supposed to come out this holiday. Yeah, nobody's heard it, seen it. There's, like you said, no game available to launch it along with. Yeah, they have Concord coming. Yeah, I know, and nobody's gonna give a damn. And Astrobot is probably going to be a fun game, but this is not a game that you sell a new console along with. You know.
Nope.
Not even close. And so it's really so what's their big vision? And you can argue all day long about Xbox, and they lost their focus on certain things, especially the console. But overall, you can at least see a vision. You know what they are going for. They are not going for consoles anymore. They're going to be the biggest publisher in the world. That's their strategy, and you can agree or disagree with that. But at least they have one. You know, it's clear where Xbox wants to go and what they are working towards. And with Sony, we don't have a roadmap. We don't have a vision. What to expect from them? Is Concord now games like Concord and Helldivers going to be the kind of games we can expect instead of great new IPs like Ghost of Tsushima or I don't know, the next Santa Monica game and so on. Nobody knows, man. Nobody knows, and it's kind of weird. Also the way how to communicate towards the fans, I mean, it's okay to skip the June showcases, but then you gotta do something else. And Gamescom is still the biggest gaming expo in the world. And it is your biggest single market here, where you have like a market share of 10-1, 8-1, something in that ballpark, and you're not even showing up for the 4th or 5th year in a row, and it is just, it's kind of weird how they lost their strategy, focus, and I do agree. There must be some internal struggle with finding their identity in the gaming industry in 2024, right? Which is weird, since you are this by a large margin market leader in the console space, you know, you kind of could dictate the way where the industry is going. But it feels like since Microsoft is doing so many things differently, it kind of feels like they don't know what they are supposed to do now, right? Should they just follow the trend that Microsoft set with you know, multi-platform strategies and focusing more on actually software sales and subscriptions rather than getting bigger install bases? Is single player or multiplayer or games as a service? What is the future? Where's more money to be made? And it's weird to see that they don't seem to find an answer for that, right?
I don't understand what their strategy is, to be fair. They should know they have to do a fine balancing act, and this is where Microsoft, as much as people like to kind of laugh at Microsoft and the games not matching quality that Sony have produced, what they have managed to do though is put out a plethora of games that is in every category. Now the only one that they haven't managed to do is bring out consistent story games, which I mentioned at the beginning of the show. I'm just waiting on Microsoft to get that one. But they've got racing. They have a story game in Fable coming out, which is going to be awesome. They've got Avowed. They've got numerous different games that are in the works.
We're still Indiana Jones, but we're still waiting for those, right?
Still waiting for those. But what they have managed to do is cover every base, whether that be the smaller titles, whether that be the games as a service titles, whether that be the racing and flying, whether it be the shooter. They've covered all angles, and they've got when they haven't got, let's say, the big game of the year ones. What they have got is an abundance of great games. Maybe it's not abundances of masterpieces that you might consider the likes of your God of Wars and your Spider-Mans or things like that. They might not have those level of games at this moment in time, but they have got a boatload of great games that cover every orifice. What Sony's problem is that they don't. What they were great at, they've now stopped doing. They're great at making awesome single-player experiences. what they've stopped doing is making great single player experiences.
Yeah.
And that's what was their foundation. And now they've tilted towards making live service games, but they haven't really got a plan in place.
Yeah.
And they're
it's
kind of
like
just following the basic narrative.
Yeah.
They're just following the narrative. Okay, so we'll do Concord, but then Concord's like every other arena shooter.
Yeah.
But it's also not free, where every other arena shooter is free.
Yeah.
So they're already putting themselves at a disadvantage. And Helldivers was great, but it still wasn't anything new. It was just a different angle on the same genre that's been out before. It was a horde shooter. A team-based horde shooter. So, and Helldivers is the only thing that has done reasonably well.
Quite well, yeah. And that's not even first party's game, right?
Yeah. So, and we already know, judging by what we've seen, that the lineup going forward isn't. It's just not there. There's nothing to look at. We haven't got a clear plan as to where PlayStation's going. We know that Insomniac are going to be producing 55 million Marvel things.
Yeah.
But outside of that, kind of what's the aim here? Like what we're going for?
Yeah, we don't know. And I'm not even sure that Sony knows. Yeah, and that's the weird part. It's the really weird part. Dutch, I need to shout out one super chat. That is one hell of a super chat because I'm really happy for that guy. Parasite 82 Green writes in and says, "This will be my last super chat for a long time. The bad news, I will be reducing my gaming next year. But the good news is me and my wife recently found out our IVF treatment was successful." Man, congratulations. I'm really, really happy for you. And obviously, you're gonna reduce your gaming time. As have I when I became a father. But man, I'm really happy for you. This is awesome news. I'm really, really happy for you and your wife. And I have no doubt you will be enjoying being a father. And of course, your gaming time is gonna be less. But hey, you get so much out of the experience. So I'm really happy, man. Shout out to you. Yeah, man. Great news. Great news. That is fantastic. So, I don't even know how to move on from that. Can't get any better than that, right? So,
yeah, it's good news.
Yeah, man. Parasite, again, congratulations. Dutch, anything you want to add to the Sony strategy discussion before we move on?
No. I think it's not nothing we haven't already said.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
All right. Then let's move on to one of the topics I'm always excited to talk about, right? And that's The Witcher 4. We got some news, at least, this week from one of the voice actors who confirmed that The Witcher 4 will feature Geralt, but not as a main or lead character. So, Geralt will be in The Witcher 4, man. As expected, or I think it was even announced already, that the main storyline is not going to be around Geralt himself. But yeah, man, I was excited to hear. That Geralt is still going to be in the game. I was immediately thinking, hey, maybe we do like, you know, one cameo where you like actually get to play him for a little bit, like you did with Ciri in The Witcher 3, where you had these 1 or 2 or 3 segments where you actually played as Ciri for 15 minutes or so, and then move back to Geralt. Maybe it's gonna be something like that. So what did you think about this, Geralt being in The Witcher 4?
Yeah, it's good to see he's around. It's gonna be interesting to see kind of what role he plays in it, and what cameo, should I say, he plays in it, because he doesn't play a kind of a full section on it. So it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of cameo he plays. But it's from what I can see, it's potentially Ciri going to be taking the lead role in this one, which is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be Ciri.
You not think so?
No. Honestly, I think it might sound weird to think of a Witcher game that way, but I think they probably want to do something new. And what could it be? I mean, it's still gonna be a high fantasy action RPG, set in this world and set in that lore and everything. So what would be really one thing that is going to make it feel very different from the original trilogy? And that is if you, to some degree, make your own character. I could see them do something like they did in Cyberpunk, where you were able to create a character, have a character creator, but then still have like a scripted character. You were V, right? Whether you're male or female, you were still V, and the story itself was of course scripted along V being the main character, but the way how he looks and specializes and so on. I think I could see something happening with that, right? So I don't think it's gonna be Ciri. I think you will be able to. But now, as I say it out loud, since there are no female Witchers, would you be able to make a game and have only a male character creator in this day and age? I know it sounds weird, but you know what I mean. Like from a political point of view, I don't know. So
yeah,
still don't think that Ciri or Geralt are going to be.
No, if they did it, they would make a female Witcher. They would. They did. They would do the same kind of character creator. They would do the same type of one that they did in Cyberpunk, where they both have a unisex name because they're both called V.
Yeah.
So they'd have a unisex name for the character, which you don't change.
The law clearly says, man, there are no female Witchers.
Yet.
Interesting.
Yet.
Interesting.
If it's a character creator, then that would be able to change the law anyway.
Yeah.
Because you'd be able to become the first female Witcher if you should desire to be one. But we'd have to go through all of the trials again.
Yeah, but then you would have to pick, kind of introduce it into the actual storyline. And what would you do if you are like choose to be a male Witcher? Man, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. Parasite in the chat says he wants a spin-off with the Red Baron in the game. That was a phenomenal storyline in The Witcher 3. And I mean, there are 2 spin-off games in the making, right?
Yeah.
So who knows?
Multiplayer one.
Yeah, the multiplayer one, and the other one is going to be a single player. Who knows? Maybe they picked that up, because I think the Red Baron storyline was genuinely beloved by everyone. Like, how could you not like that storyline, right? It's an interesting one. So yeah, man. Geralt B is in the game. When do you think we will actually see The Witcher 4? We know that for a couple of months now, it's in complete full production. They finished like the pre-development phase. They're building the game out now.
I think we'll see it next year.
Yeah, I would assume so too.
And it'll be at Xbox's showcase.
I mean, what other showcase is there, right?
Gonna be at? Yeah. Who else's showcase is it going to go at?
Yeah.
I don't think they'd give it to Jeff. I really don't. They had a really good... I mean, despite the horrific launch of the game Cyberpunk in its technical state, the game in itself, Cyberpunk, did really well as a whole. They got a really awesome custom console with Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. They were at the Xbox booth last year with the Liberty City DLC, right?
Yeah. Phantom Liberty. Not Liberty.
Phantom. What did I say? Liberty City, right?
Liberty City.
Yeah. Phantom Liberty. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm already in it. When I think about next year, all that comes to mind is GTA.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I think they've got a good working relationship. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Witcher 4 showing off at the Xbox stage. And again, if you have a look at just how much positivity came off the back of this showcase as well as last year's showcase for Xbox, both of them were absolutely phenomenal. It had everybody buzzing. So why wouldn't you want to be part of that?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of these developers are going to think about. They're not going to think, oh, let's be part of Summer Game Fest. They're going to be thinking of, did you see how amazing that showcase was?
Yeah.
Imagine our game was in that lineup as well. That would have been a big...
Yeah.
People would have been talking about it.
I agree. And you can bet your ass that next year's showcase and the hype around it is going to be even bigger because people know, okay, now Fable is really close, right?
Yeah.
And you see more of games like Perfect Dark, and then it's finally time to unveil whatever ZeniMax Online has been working on and all that good stuff.
So premiere for State of Decay and
So the excitement around next year's is going to be massive, and it would totally make sense for them to put a Witcher 4 on a big stage and not just announce it by dropping a trailer or something, GTA can get along with that, but not with The Witcher. You want to be on some big stage, and obviously that's the biggest stage is now Xbox, because like you said, Summer Games Fest ain't doing it, not even close. And the few other shows that you get are from other publishers like Ubisoft, Forward, and such, and obviously it's not going to be there. So totally makes sense, man. Yeah. I can't wait. I definitely can't wait. But since we are on the subject of big stages, next week, man, it's Gamescom time. Yeah. Can't believe that it's almost a year now since.
I am kind of gutted that we're not there now as well when we haven't had the chance to do it this year.
Yeah.
Seeing everybody meeting up and things like that, and how many people are going over, and I'm like,
Yeah. We could have been part of it. I mean, I think in our situation right now, we made the right call. I had to decide whether I go on vacation with my wife and kids or do Gamescom, and I decided family. And I'm good with that. But obviously, you're sitting there and thinking, oh man, I see John, getting ready to have his first booth over there for his newly announced card game Console Wars. By the way, if you're interested in that, definitely check out the Kickstarter consider backing that. But yeah, those guys are preparing. Kayasante is coming, you know. Obviously, Jazz is gonna be there, and would have been so awesome to meet up with all these guys. Again, of course, meeting you again in person, seeing you in person would have been awesome. But I think in our situation right now, we made the right decision. Nevertheless, I'm still pretty excited. There's plenty of interesting stuff already being announced that will be there. Let's start with maybe Gamescom opening live before we talk about what Xbox is doing. Yeah, our trip last year there was very memorable for Gamescom opening night live because we didn't find a parking spot, right?
Yeah.
And then we had to park like, I don't know, a 30-minute walk away or so from the actual convention center, and we had to literally run there, and it was hot like hell, and like they close or shut down all the food and drink stores and everything. You couldn't buy a single bottle of water anymore 30 minutes before the show started, and we arrived there and were thirsty as hell and were sweating, and we were exhausted from running there, and then they wouldn't even sell us a single bottle of water. But then we had good places, right? We were sitting close to the entire Xbox team, and it was good and fun show being in the crowd. So for next week, they've already announced that Black Ops 6 is going to be there, right? Monster Hunter Wilds is gonna get a good showing there. They have Indiana Jones with a deeper look there. My personal prediction is we're gonna get a release date on the big stage, honestly. I mean, it would make sense with the opening night live being a show that is not solely focused like on Xbox fans, but like the more wider gaming fans are watching that as well. Indiana Jones still holds is a big name, right? And you show a great trailer and you announce the release date, November this year or something. Yeah, I know rumors are saying December, but with Avowed being moved out, I could see them put that game out in November now.
What would you do if it was next month?
You think so, man?
Indiana Jones coming out September 20th. Like,
oh. Oh. That would be honestly a true surprise. I was, before that whole we delay Avowed thing was announced, I was like, yeah, man, Indy is going to be the one that is going to move to next year. And so in my mind, this was always scheduled at the very end of the season and not the beginning. But that, I mean, it is a question, how do they position these things, right? They have set a few things already in stone with Call of Duty in October, right? Stalker 2 is now November. They still have to put, and they have Age of Mythology, very end of August. I think August 30th, if I remember correctly. So basically, that's an early September game. But then you can argue, okay, Indie and Age, a very different audience, and then they still have to put in their Shattered Space, which is going to be massive. I could see Shattered Space being in September, but not Indie. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. It's Indie in September and Shattered Space more towards the end of the year, a November or December release. And Vessel of Hatred, right, also has to find its spot. It's gonna be interesting. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it could be closer. I think Indie could be the one that's more of a summary thing, and then you've mentioned, you've got Stalker in November. you've got Call of Duty in October, and then I think it will be a couple of the DLCs will wrap up the year with maybe Towerborn.
Maybe.
Because then they are, like you mentioned, they are big DLCs, but a lot of people will still be playing Call of Duty all over Christmas, and then more people buy Call of Duty for Christmas, and so on and so forth. So then you can ramp up the whole thing around Starfield again just before the break, and Diablo again just before the winter break, and these brand new DLCs, Vessel of Hatred and Shattered Space, and power focus on them. Along with Call of Duty, because ultimately, if you put Call of Duty and then Indiana Jones on the build up to Christmas, I think even still, Call of Duty is still going to overshadow it on the build up to Christmas.
Yeah.
Whereas DLCs aren't really so much of a focus. You don't really care too much if the DLCs are hyper popular.
That is a good point. But I could also see them like going for, the double package with Call of Duty is out in October, and of course that will be played way into next year. However, the hype and the talk around it will stop after a month or so. And it's just out there. Like
you've got people buying it for Christmas and things like that.
Yeah, so. And then now see, this is where I'm going. If they let's say release an indie end of November or so, it's out of the direct hype talk, and then you make that Game Pass offering so attractive by buy an Xbox or subscribe to Game Pass or gift a Game Pass subscription during Christmas or for Christmas, and you get this brand new shiny Indie Jones game and Call of Duty. You get to play that as well, and like this feels like a complete package that you're offering. Whilst when you release Indie already in September, this is. You could still do the same thing, but it wouldn't have the same weight. Like what I mean?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. And of course, we'll get Towerborn's release date as well next week.
Yeah, I think we will get all the release dates. But I think Indie is the big one that they present during during the opening night live.
Opening night live, yeah.
Yeah. I fully expect Shattered Space and Vessel of Hatred and all of the good stuff to get release dates next week. I mean, why wouldn't they, right? At some point, they kind of have to reveal those.
Yeah.
And
the good thing about the Avowed delay was what we got a definitive date for Avowed. When they delayed it, they said, it's slotting in on this day. This is the day. This is the date now. We have a date. I was like, good. Well, there's one good thing that come out of it is we've actually got a date. We don't just have it's coming in 25.
That's true. Yeah. So, Gamescom opening night live. Marvel Rivals will also be there. You're excited for that?
Nope.
Nah, me neither. Then...
But it is a free arena shooter that will automatically wipe out Concord.
Now you're just being mean, man. Now you're just being mean.
I'm being truthful.
But truthful.
It's free, it's Marvel, it's an arena shooter. It automatically grabs an audience because it's Marvel. And it's free. So everybody's going to play it.
Agree.
I'll even try it just to see what the powers and things are like. But I'm like, I don't have any pressure to buy it. The problem you've got when it's just an arena shooter. An arena shooters are notorious for being very limited in the maps that they have and the characters. But the characters don't change often, and they only introduce a new character every once in a while. Is that if you're investing into something like that, it needs to have a rollout of content quickly.
Agreed.
But you've also got to justify it from the off. It has to be great from the off, and you have to justify yourself over the competitors. And I think the good thing about Marvel Rivals is they've already got a massive list of playable characters with funky powers, but it's free. And it's on every platform. So no one has to really worry about investing on it. They can just play it. And if they want to invest more time in, they can. So I'm not particularly interested in it. because it's just another arena shooter. But I've got more chance of playing that than I will ever have of playing Concord.
Yeah, I agree. Dune Awakening is also going to be there at opening live.
I got put off of that as soon as I said it was an MMO.
Yeah, I see that. I can see why you would say that. Still looks great,
I'd
though.
give a lot of MMOs a chance. I'd give Final Fantasy 14 a chance as well, and I was like, nope, this is not for me. I love Final Fantasy, but I just don't like I do not like MMOs. I can't. Just don't work for us. I've tried ESO as well again, and ESO is cool. It's like Elder Scrolls, but it's just so much nonsense. It's like diluted Elder Scrolls. It's like do 40 million things and come back. I'm like, nope, don't want to do that. I just want a nice linear story, thank you.
Yeah, I feel you there.
And I feel Dune could be like that. I feel Dune could be just rammed full of random shit that no one really cares about.
That's true. So, there will also be plenty of new game announcements, is what they said. So, it's basically impossible to guess what it could be.
I think it's going to be a whole load of indie games.
Yeah. That's for sure. Right.
Yeah.
There was this one Capcom game. I'm blanking now on the name that they've shown last year that looked so good.
Can't remember.
Can't remember either. Man, I hate when I have the game right in front of my eyes and can't think of the name. Anyway, so so opening night live. I mean, I don't expect it's not like an E3 showcase quality. However, I totally expect that to be a good show. Where we get some good news. I know it's a Keighley show, and we have all our thoughts on that, what that means. But at least when you compare it to the Summer Game Fest, it's better paced. There's no advertisements in there. There's just generally more good games usually at opening night live than on the Summer Game Fest. So well, and then there's Xbox, because of course Sony is a no-show. Nintendo is actually also a no-show this year at Gamescom. So Xbox, they will have what they say is their biggest booth yet. They said the same thing last year though. But it's probably going to be one big booth, and we know that Indie and Avowed are not going to be playable. They are theater presentations there, but there's plenty of other stuff to play at the booth. Shattered Space and Stalker 2 and Diablo, Vessel of Hatred, and so on. And the interesting thing is actually, Dutch, that they are doing multiple live streams each and every day. On Wednesday, they'll do a couple of streams that will feature Diablo 4 and Immortal, Stalker 2, Atomfall, and Shattered Space, and Age of Mythology. So we should get some good news and new insights on those. What do you think about this concept? They have another stream on Thursday with Star Wars Outlaws and World of Warcraft and Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online, and on Friday they have a live stream with Indiana Jones, Avowed, and Ara, and a couple of other games. So what do you think about this concept, and are you looking forward to it? What do you expect from it?
Yeah, I mean, it's they did this last year. It's just we were on the floor when they were doing it.
Yeah.
They've got this little stage in the middle of the booth, and they get everybody up on this little stage, and then they just sit down on sofas and things. Whilst everybody else is going around playing games, they're doing this little show in the middle. So, it's going to be interesting to see from that perspective this time around, because we missed everything that was happening on that show.
Yeah.
Any announcements they had was just straight over our heads. So we didn't really actually kind of figure out anything that was going on there until after the fact. So it's going to be interesting to see that side of thing this time around and see what these streams are like. But no, I like it. It's just get a little bit more info into some of these games and get the Towerborn release date and a few more kind of gameplay clips of some of these upcoming games for Xbox. And so it's going to be nice, a bit more chilled vibe. Maybe there's a few Game Pass announcements and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Definitely. I mean, I'm looking forward to learn a little bit more about and also Stalker 2. I mean, we did get a pretty good, and we'll talk about that in a second, pretty good deep dive this week. Want to see and learn more about Vessel of Hatred, of course. Yeah, so should be a fun show, man. Should be a fun show. All right, Dutch. Since we are on the subject, let's talk about Stalker 2 and its deep dive that they provided this week. GSC Game World uploaded a 35-minute deep dive into Stalker 2, along with, of course, 35 minutes of gameplay, right? They've shown various different regions. They confirmed that the zone this time is really one open world, consisting of 20 different regions, right, with different biomes and different architectures and stuff to be found, and you can explore the entire map freely on your own pace. There are barely any barriers. Few, for story reasons, are in there, but for the most part you can fully explore any location. That the world has been built to give you a feeling of freedom and loneliness and anxiety. There's no leveling system in the game. You will progress by gaining better knowledge, improving your reactions, and upgrading, of course, your weapons and the stuff you find with attachments and mods and so on. They talked a lot about some of the enemy types and different ones. They reconfirmed that you will get different stories depending on some of the choices you make. That the player's progression is rewarded through off-the-path exploration, right? By finding new weapons and attachments and not just buying them somewhere, but that the game rewards you to explore the world. A lot of good stuff that they talked about. They talked about the factions in the game, that these factions, depending on your choices, will change their leaders or break up entirely and so on. So Dutch, what did you think of all of this? That you've seen the deep dive, right? So what did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's one of those moments as well, and it happens rarely when it's a game that I'm thoroughly looking forward to, where I wanted to watch it, but I also didn't want to watch it because it's a game that I'm super looking forward to, and I don't really want to spoil too much of it for myself. So I'm glad it was kind of focused more on a lot of the mechanics of the game instead of kind of a lot of spoilers. We've seen it in the past where, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for instance, I refused to watch the last kind of couple of trailers and deep dives and things because I thought, no, it's like this is getting into spoiler territory now, and we're seeing a lot of things that I don't want to see, and I just want to play the game. But no, it's Stalker's high up on the list of the games that I'm super looking forward to now. It's not going to be an easy game. I'm loving what they've done, loving all the work that they've put into it. It's going to be very intriguing to see kind of what routes everybody takes and how people explore the world. And I'm just looking forward to it now, and I just can't wait to play it. It looks fantastic, and hats off to them for continuing to improve the game before it comes out. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, visually, we knew that it is a feast to look at, right? It looks phenomenal. They've shown very different biomes, great lighting effects. Man, this is gonna be one showcase, right, to look at. But besides its great visuals, I just can't wait for this kind of, mixture of an open world kind of Far Cry-ish experience that is not based on, progression in the sense of, there you level up skills and stuff, but just try to get better, try to improve your equipment, have these survival elements in there.
Yeah,
have this.
Just try to actually be a better player.
Yeah.
Have better equipment. Find better things. Upgrade your equipment. Yeah, getting good, but then being like a little bit more proud of the equipment that you've upgraded, because that's ultimately the stuff that's going to save your life is crafting and creating better equipment and better guns and that's how you prepare yourself for a fight is having better guns and upgrading those weapons as opposed to having this level up system, which I don't think every open world game needs. I think it needs to be a different way of doing things, and I like the way that they're approaching it.
Absolutely. So yeah, man, Stalker 2 gonna be one gigantic game when it comes out this November, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, Dutch. You know what else got announced this week that I'm actually really excited about? Actually, it was last week, but we missed last week's show. So, a new Darksider game has been teased by THQ Nordic.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they put out a little teaser trailer. Didn't reveal too much. So we don't know who's going to be the main character this time, whether it's going to be Death or Strife, or I don't know who's going to be it again. But I'm really digging the Darksiders games. I mean, 1 and 2 were those, kind of like Zelda-ish games. Very mature Zelda, though. But they were definitely inspired by those, and I really enjoyed those. With Darksiders 3, they kind of went away from that formula. I still enjoyed Darksiders 3. It was a good game. It just was very different than the first two, because it went more in the Souls-ish kind of genre. I'm saying Souls-ish because it wasn't a Souls game per se, but it had those kind of elements, also a little bit more difficult and so on. Still enjoyed it though, but I kind of hope that they are going back to the first, the way how they designed the first two games, being like these Metroidvania-ish games, Zelda-esque games. So what are you hoping for new Darksiders?
I'm going to upset you here and tell you that I wasn't the biggest of Darksiders fans.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't really
how
my.
How can you not be a Darksiders fan, man? You.
It was okay. It was okay. But it wasn't anything.
I'm disappointed.
It's not something that stuck with me over the test of time. Put it that way.
Really?
Yeah, they're all right. They're all right, but not something that I remember. Nah. See, well, in the same era, because you got to think Darksiders 1 and 2, that was like 360.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that point, I was like, the things that stuck with me from the 360, even to this day, are like the likes of Condemned, etc. And those are the ones I'd much rather see come back. Darksiders isn't one of those games. I remember the 360 fondly for different reasons. Darksiders not one of them.
I mean, it's not the first game that comes to mind when I think about the 360, but
yeah,
it was. I really enjoyed Darksiders. Of course, I'm a huge Zelda fan, especially the classic Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Kingdom. What was it called? The last one. Kingdom something with kingdom.
Yeah, I've forgotten already.
Tears of a Kingdom.
That's the one.
Yeah, were okay, but didn't capture like the essence of what makes Zelda a Zelda game.
Exactly.
And Darksiders was one of these games, that came close. I think this world where you play as death and war and strife in the third one, were just great. They captured what make the Zelda games great, like with the dungeons and the riddles, and the combat was great. Actually, much more diversified than in the Zelda games themselves. So, I really enjoyed my playthroughs, and I did when they released the enhanced versions on the Xbox One X. I did another playthrough. Again, I really enjoyed even Darksiders 3 when it came out towards the end of the Xbox One generation, and so I'm really excited to play as one of the four horsemen. But man, I thought
I'm glad you are.
I thought different of you, man.
I'm glad you are. It was a different time. And unfortunately, these older games, a lot of them don't stand the test of time now, especially when you're talking mechanically.
Yeah, I agree.
So even if I went back to play them now, it wouldn't be the same thing.
Yeah.
We're talking here, this is going to be my first year of playing like a mana game. So I'm hoping, and I've already got one game against you here. I'm hoping this mana game lives up to expectations because it's on your head, B8.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. By the way, I finished that demo. Did you?
Yes. Yeah.
What did you think?
It was all right. It was all right. I like the combat system. I think the combat system's quite cool. I like the different moves that each character has. I've already kind of, depending on, I don't know whether or not this is all of the characters that they're going to be playing in the game, or whether or not there's more characters that we're going to see. But I've already pinned down a couple of the characters that I prefer over others.
Yeah, agree.
In terms of their move sets and attacks and things like that. So,
I mean, the game really encouraged you to switch often in between different characters. It's the one mechanic I'm not really fond of. I prefer to, have my one character. Let me choose one of those, but then I just play this one and level that properly up and get acquainted with its skills and everything. And so I need to play, of course, more to properly judge on the game. Because the mana games always lived from, they were one of the first open world games, right? And they live off of this, how they built the world, how they set up the world, how you explore and so on. And so we didn't see much of that, of course, in this good hour or so, what it took me to beat the demo. But I like where they are going. They capture a lot of what makes the originals such classics. You know, the music is there. They got this quirky art style with some of the cute characters meeting the more mature character enemy types. And so yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. But I definitely need to play more to properly judge.
Yeah, same. And I want to see what the rest of the open world is like. But obviously, I could have extended my time playing the demo because there was a decent enough portion of open world I could have explored a bit more. But ultimately, I wanted to kind of see how the story kind of panned out, what the pacing of the story was, and how the characters interact with each other more so than I wanted to see what the open world was like, because open worlds can be explored at any time. But I wanted to really see what the characters were like and things like that. I wanted to see really more of the story aspect of Visions to see what that was like first.
Yeah, I get that.
And then, of course, having that boss battle to end the demo was a good way to test all the different combat features out and super abilities and things like that they had, which was a bit like limit breaks that you get in
Final Fantasy.
So yeah, very interesting. I'm what I'm happy to say is, as much as there was a lot of characters with cat ears and things like that, it isn't anywhere near as annoying in terms of the character voicing or the voice acting. It's not as annoying as, or nowhere near as annoying, should I say, as Dragon Quest.
I agree. Absolutely.
I hate it.
Yeah, me too.
That game could be an absolute, and by all accounts, Dragon Quest is a really great game, but the voice acting in that game is so abysmal that I refuse to play it. Whereas this isn't, and I'm glad for that, because it means I'll actually likely play a lot of it and probably finish it. But yeah, no, I'm happy with it so far. I'm looking forward to playing it when it comes out. Not long to wait.
Yeah, agree. Speaking of older classics coming back, Remedy made a statement now about the Max Payne 1 and 2 remake. You remember, they are remaking those classic games both together in one game, so it's not like they are remaking both. They take Max Payne 1 and 2 and make one game out of it. Completely remake that in their latest engine, of course. And they've said it's now in full production. Production is going well. They've also confirmed that Control 2 is now in a playable state. Yeah. And they have one yet to be announced project, a third project in the making, which is in its... Who knows, man? After that success, who knows? But man, I'm super excited for the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes, because Max Payne was just so ahead of its time, right? And the atmosphere in Max Payne 1 and 2 was just unprecedented at its time, and I really cannot wait to see where they are going, because if we are honest, man, Remedy is a fantastic developer. Control was awesome. I really enjoyed Quantum Break.
Same.
Alan Wake 2, their latest game, was critically super well received. Everybody who played it loved it, right? So for them to go Max Payne again, right? After selling the rights to Rockstar, and remaking those two games into one in the latest engine, making modifications in the controls and everything. It's gonna be awesome, man. And I'm super excited that it's now in full production. So what do you think, man?
Yeah. I'm not too fussed about Control, but I'm looking forward to the Max Payne remake to see what they do with that and how that looks and plays in the new engine. And it's been a long time since Max Payne's been out, like a really long time. We're talking decades.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Max Payne 3 from Rockstar, right, was also a 360 game. So
yeah. So let's fingers crossed it's great. Let's fingers crossed it's great. Or by all accounts, people loved Control as well, and that's got a high mantle to live up to. So I think we'd love to see a new Quantum Break, but I can't see that happening.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, pardon me. I can't wait, man. It's gonna be fantastic. I have no doubt. I have absolutely no doubt. All right, Dutch. With that, man, we are already at this section that we love so much, and that is, of course, our community questions. All right, Dutch. We put out each and every Wednesday, our posts on YouTube, on X, to ask for community questions or topics. And this week we got one from Dave Ramos, who says or asks this: looking back at Gamescom, what was your favorite moment from last year, and what unreleased game did you see play at Gamescom last year that you are most hyped to play in the future? Happy Thursday, gents. So what was your favorite moment, and which unreleased game did you get to play that you're still super excited for?
Well, other than meeting everybody, which is obviously top of the list, the on the fly conversation, very long conversation with the hardware team from Xbox. I think that had to be kind of the better moment for us, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least for me. It was fun, just very insightful, and a lot of it come out of it, and that was good, really good. In terms of games, it had to be Towerborn and Stalker 2 as the unreleased games.
Yeah, I would have answered the exact same thing. Of course, absolutely, meeting everyone is the highlight. But besides that, I think that moment when we were invited to the Xbox hardware team to have a private discussion with them about a lot of future hardware stuff that they are working on was definitely one of the highlights. And in terms of games, Towerborn was fun, but I think Stalker 2 was definitely one of the highlights that we played last year, and that still hasn't released. So good shout. We've got another question coming in from, I have no idea how to pronounce that nickname. Looks could be Max or something like that. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. The question is very simple. Given that we have, I have to translate that now because it's in German. Yeah, so given that we have a pretty good idea of what Xbox is going to release this year and now in February next year, what is the Xbox game that you are looking forward to the most in after this holiday season? I think the question is really easy to answer. Yeah, basically 2025.
Fable.
From Fable, absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing comes close, man.
Nothing comes close. Yeah, Fable. All day, every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
which is a shame because Avowed was your big game for this year, and now it's next year, so it's now not your most anticipated game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, Fable, man, I'm a huge RPG fan. I love especially high fantasy RPGs. I love Fable. I have absolutely zero doubt that Playground is gonna deliver one hell of a quality game. So it's super easy. Yeah. Parasite writes in and asks, here's my community question. If you had to pick one to be cancelled, would it be The Witcher 4 or GTA 6? Also easy to answer.
GTA 6.
Absolutely. Man. There's no way I would name The Witcher 4. I still believe that with The Witcher 3 is probably the best game ever made. So why would I choose... I was
gonna say, if you being... Like, Take-Two and Rockstar are absolute juggernauts in what they do, and they produce fantastic games. There is absolutely no doubt about it. But if it was a case of saying, okay, Rockstar creating another Red Dead, which I think, from a story perspective, pushes the industry forward a bit more, and from a technical perspective, if you have a look at Red Dead 2 over GTA 5, Red Dead 2 really pushed the industry forward when it comes from a technical perspective, in terms of the lighting and the fidelity and everything that they did with Red Dead 2 and the world that they crafted. That was a leap forward in terms of everything on console gaming, especially last generation, and what they managed to craft. But GTA isn't really that. Is it a fun game? Yes. Is it a cool story? Yes. Is it something that I would miss if it wasn't there anymore? No. I had my time with GTA 5. I had my online time with GTA 5. I stopped playing that a long time ago. Would I be ultimately that bothered if it didn't have another sequel after 5 or 6? No. I'm not too bothered. I'd rather Rockstar actually worked on something else and put their talents to use that wasn't on milking billions of pounds through shark cards from GTA Online, which is what they've done for the last decade. I mean, they could pump out game after game and actually push the industry forward, but they'd rather focus on shark cards and milking their consumers. So I'd much rather Witcher 4 and watching the industry move forward in technical from a studio that isn't going to milk the consumer.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. All right, Dutch. I think that brings us already to the end of this show. As always, it has been an absolute blast. Not just with you, but of course with our awesome community. So let me thank you. This awesome community, everyone that joined us here today to talk about all the latest in gaming. Of course, a big thank you to all the super chats that came in. And of course, a big thank you to all the channel members that do support us, actually on both channels, right? And, of course, a big thank you to everyone who listens on the podcast services, either here on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcast, if you made it to the end. Also, shout out to you guys. And Dutch, of course, let everyone know what you are working on and what you've coming up, man.
Yeah, I mean, when I've got out of this this uptown funk, that is ADHD and tiredness, I'd look to stream again, but at the minute I'm just so tired. So when I've got an opportunity to sit down and relax, I'm just taking it. So hopefully maybe across the weekend I'll make a start on Red Dead and I'll stream that. But yeah, other than that, is it next week that you're away, or is it the week after?
The week after. The week after.
Okay. We might have 2 weeks break then, because you're away the week after, and then I'm away the first week of September. So
yeah. Could be.
Could end up with
but next
we
week,
do it on the Friday.
Or we do it. That could also be an option. Yeah. That sounds like a plan. But we will do one next week, right? To definitely cover all things Gamescom and all the good stuff that's going to be shown or announced there. Should be a fun one next week, man.
Yeah, we'll have a lot to cover off next week. But yeah, you can find me everywhere at Wondering Dutch, and of course, back here again next Thursday for covering off some Gamescom talk. Some games.
Absolutely. So, yeah, again, a big thank you to everyone. I hope you guys had a blast, as did we. And of course, again, we will be back next week. And until then, don't forget to game on.